Hello, my name is Ben Whitaker. I am a postdoctoral fellow at the Department of Integrative Biology of the University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada. In my talk today, I will present an overview of sustainable aquaculture. Aquaculture is defined as the process of breeding, rearing, and harvesting aquatic organisms within a controlled or semi-controlled environment, quite often in a farm. Production can occur on a small, localized scale, such as raising tilapia in community ponds. Closed system production occurs inside specialist facilities, allowing rearing of sensitive species such as ornamental clownfish. Aquaculture also occurs on a large industrial scale, as is seen in commercial shrimp farming. Species farmed in aquaculture represent taxa from diverse habitats, including marine, freshwater, and brackish ecosystems, as is demonstrated in this graphic. Today, we will focus on fin fish aquaculture, which is dominated by the production of freshwater carp and tilapia in both Asia and Africa, and also the production of salmon in Europe and the Americas. There are forms of aquaculture which do not focus on food production. These include generating research animals such as zebrafish for medical research, producing micro and macroalgae for pharmaceutical products, captive breeding ornamental species for the pet trade, and breeding service providers such as cleaner fish. Aquaculture provides a reliable, secure food production system, which is increasingly valuable in an era of human population growth and climate change. Production of domesticated stock decreases harvest pressure on wild populations of aquatic organisms such as fish. This helps conserve wild populations that may otherwise be vulnerable to overfishing. Indeed, data from the UN Food and Agriculture Organization shows that aquaculture now constitutes a significant portion of global fish harvest. The global expansion of aquaculture has been termed the Blue Revolution. Aquaculture is now the fastest growing food production sector worldwide, with production increasing by 6.7% per year from 1970 to 2006. And Hirschner wrote that in order for aquaculture to be considered sustainable, it must meet three criteria. Firstly, production should be efficient, with little waste of resource. Secondly, it must have negligible impact on the ecosystem surrounding the production site. Thirdly, it must adhere to the societal standards in which production occurs. Activists highlight several industrial practices that either incur resource waste, cause damage to wild ecosystems, or break the ethical standards of society. To demonstrate some of the problems surrounding this debate, I will draw on examples from the salmon farming sector. Intensive salmon production is particularly controversial in Europe, with widespread media campaigns raising public awareness of industry malpractice. This image shows a schematic of a salmon farm situated out at sea. The fish are contained within a giant sea cage made from nets, which allows water to freely circulate throughout the farm. Boats regularly visit the cage to feed and harvest the fish. Our first threat to sustainability is that of habitat degradation, as waste food and other detritus leaks from the bottom of the net cage and collects on the sea floor. This damages benthic ecosystems, particularly wild invertebrates surrounding the salmon farm. This image shows the damage incurred by a farm to a soft sponge reef situated below. Salmon are carnivorous fish and require food pellets made from the oil and meal of smaller forage fish species. This necessitates the harvest of wild forage fish to feed the captive salmon, which places additional pressure on wild fish populations. This does not align with the claims that finfish aquaculture helps protect wild fish. Farms produce organic waste from food and fish detritus. which can easily dissipate through the net cage and pollute water surrounding the farm. This can reduce oxygen saturation and increase ammonium levels that threaten surrounding habitats. The high number of fish in a small contained area provides ideal conditions for fish disease and parasites to thrive. Salmon lice are parasitic copepods that feed on the skin of salmon and are commonly cited as the biggest threat to sustainable salmon farming. These lice cause skin damage, slow growth, and even cause salmon death. Should the structure of the cage netting become compromised, this can release tens of thousands of captive reared salmon into wild ecosystems. This is damaging as the escaped fish may compete with wild salmon for food and habitat space, or else interbreed with wild salmon and introduce potentially maladaptive genes. Many activists tend to campaign for the rights of mammal and bird species in terrestrial agriculture, but fish welfare in aquaculture is an often overlooked problem. The fish in farms are reported to show physical defects, damage from parasites, and live in suboptimal conditions. More research is needed on how salmon farming can provide better rearing conditions for these fish. Finally, there are reports that salmon farmers kill fish predators in order to protect their salmon from potential predation. This has included species of seabird and seal and is widely condemned in mainstream media. This long list of problems highlights the many challenges faced by the Blue Revolution in order to achieve sustainable aquaculture, though it is important to remember the positive aspects farming brings to local communities, the economy, and food security. Research is now focused on developing methods to enhance sustainability and provide the pathway for a better Blue Revolution. Integrated multi-trophic aquaculture is a new approach to salmon farming that is pioneered by the Canadian Department of Fisheries. This approach combines the aquaculture of multiple species in a single production farm in order to imitate a natural ecosystem, thus providing a more balanced environment. Production starts at the highest trophic level, with carnivorous species of fish. The fish would be reared in much the same way as a traditional farm, including regular feeding and harvesting. The next trophic level is filled by bivalve aquaculture, with species such as blue mussel suspended on growing lines around the fish farm. These bivalves feed by filtering organic waste from the water, helping to remove excess food and detritus from the fish as it enters the surrounding ecosystem. The bivalves can also be harvested for food. Production of algal species such as kelp fill the next trophic level in the integrated approach. These algae take organic and inorganic nutrients from the water to grow, further reducing pollution from fish production. The kelp can also be harvested as food or used in pharmaceutical products. The final trophic level is occupied by benthic aquaculture, in which species of invertebrate and crustacean are cultivated below the farm in order to consume falling detritus. This should reduce the impact of fish farming on seafloor habitats and protect benthic environments around the farm. Other research initiatives include developing more efficient and cost-effective land-based aquaculture facilities. This includes closed system production, which is completely separated from natural ecosystems and therefore removes the risk of pollution or fish escape. Rearing omnivorous species of fish, such as tilapia and catfish, allows for the production of plant-based diets, thereby reducing the need to harvest wild forage fish for the manufacturing of salmon feed. Utilizing species that are not directly involved in aquaculture production, species known as service providers, can also increase sustainability. A key example is that of the use of cleaner fish in salmon farms. Cleaner fish prey on parasitic lice, removing these from salmon and maintaining a healthy farm environment. In this final slide, we consider recurring themes in the debate surrounding sustainable aquaculture and how these might be incorporated to guide the future of the blue revolution. The first is the environment. Aquaculture must seek to remove any impact from production on wild ecosystems and populations. To better understand the impact of aquaculture on ecosystems, collaboration is needed with ecologists. Unless the environment can be protected, the long-term viability of intensive aquaculture remains uncertain. Secondly is the economy. In order for sustainable aquaculture to thrive, the industry must generate profit which can then be invested into further developing commercial practice. A prosperous farm has the ability to support new initiatives, from technologies such as underwater drones to establishing links with local communities. Ethics is at the heart of sustainable aquaculture. When organisms are kept in optimal conditions with health and welfare needs being met, the stock survives and grows quickly. By protecting the welfare of animals in farms, this maintains a good relationship with wider society. As with any other commercial venture, aquaculture must strive for efficient production. This includes exploring new avenues to reuse resources and prevent waste. Until recently, aquaculture has been largely unregulated. By developing legal frameworks and ensuring compliance, commercial development can follow recommended guidelines to ensure adequate sustainability is achieved. I would like to thank Professor Baig for his kind invitation to present my talk today, and also to thank my supervisor, Professor Balding. Thank you very much for your attention during this presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on the email address provided. Thank you.